All right, so thank you very much for coming through. Yes, I do have these two questions. This is a section B, which means essay questions. So I'll show you how to answer essay questions. All right, I'm going to show you how to answer essay questions. You just follow me. Question 1A, they're saying describe the two types of tissue respiration. Describe the two types of tissue respiration. You see the word describe, explain. Alright, what you need to do is simply to define first. Alright, all you're going to do is to define. There is a need for you to define the key terms. But in this case, the key terms are tissue respiration. So here you don't just go direct into answering. Make sure that you define the key terms. The key terms are tissue respiration. So how do you get these 4 marks? You define first and then you explain. That's how you answer section B. So you'll be like, tissue respiration is the releasing of energy from the breaking down of glucose. All right, this is the releasing of energy from the breaking down of glucose in mitochondria. That's the definition now. You make sure that you define before you can continue with your explanation. Tissue respiration is the process of releasing energy from the breaking down of glucose in mitochondria. And then you start explaining, since they are saying describe 2 types of tissue respiration, and you say there are basically 2 types of tissue respiration. There are basically 2 types of tissue respiration, namely aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. And then you explain in details. You'll be like, aerobic respiration is the process of releasing energy from the breaking down of glucose in the presence of oxygen. This is the process of releasing energy from the breaking down of glucose in the presence of oxygen. Whereas, while anaerobic respiration is the process of releasing energy from the breaking down of glucose in the absence of oxygen. While anaerobic respiration is the releasing of glucose from the breaking down of is the releasing of energy from the breaking down of glucose in the absence of oxygen gas. Yes. That's it. Question 1B, they're saying, what are the adverse effects of a cigarette smoke on the health of human beings? What are the adverse effects of a cigarette smoke on the health of human beings? In short, what are the effects of smoking cigarettes on your health as a human being? Right? So what are the adverse effects? Okay, number 1, you talk about respiratory issues. Number one adverse effect, respiratory effects. All right. During respiratory effects or respiratory issues, you talk about chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. There is a disease called chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is also known as COPD. okay, which include chronic bronchitis and emphysema. Okay, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which include chronic bronchitis and emphysema. Okay, and under the same respiratory effects or respiratory issues, you talk about increased risk of respiratory infections. Number two side effect, or number two adverse effects of smoking cigarettes. You talk about cardiovascular problems, right? Cardiovascular problems. Under this one, you talk about increased risk of heart disease. Increased risk of heart disease, a stroke, and hypertension. Increased risk of heart disease, a stroke, and hypertension. Under the same cardiovascular problems, you talk about a reduced oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. You're going to have a reduced oxygen carrying capacity of the blood due to carbon monoxide binding with hemoglobin. Reduced oxygen carrying capacity of the blood due to carbon monoxide binding with hemoglobin, which is the red pigment in the blood. Number three adverse effect, cancer. Yes, cancer. Under this one, you have increased risk of various cancers, including lung cancer, mouth cancer, throat cancer, esophagus cancer, bladder cancer, and pancreatic cancer. So these organs, lungs, mouth, throats, esophagus, bladder, pancreas, they may develop cancer. Number four adverse, you can talk about immune system suppression. You're going to suppress your immune system. You're going to weaken your immune response. You're going to weaken your immune response, making the body more susceptible to infections. You're going to weaken your immune response, which is going to make your body more susceptible to infections. Yes. You're going to open up the door for diseases, all right? Because you're going to suppress your immune system. The last one that I would love to talk about is pregnancy complications. Smoking cigarettes or the smoke from cigarette may cause pregnancy complications. Okay, pregnant women who like smoking are likely to cause problems with their pregnancy. So pregnancy complications. Yes. Now let's talk about question 2. They're saying describe the process of excretion in human beings. Describe the process of excretion in human beings. How many marks? 6. What do? The first thing, like I said, make sure that you define the key term. The key term here is excretion. The key term is excretion. So you'll be like, excretion is the removal of toxic or poisonous. All right, this is the removal of toxic or poisonous metabolic waste products from the body of a living organism. This is the removal of toxic or poisonous metabolic waste products from the body of a living organism. All right, and then you talk about the 4 stages which happen during excretion in human beings, especially by the kidney. All right, you talk about ultrafiltration. So you say there are basically, after definition, you say there are basically 4 stages involved in the excretion in human beings. There are basically 4 stages involved in the excretion in human beings, namely ultrafiltration, selective reabsorption, osmoregulation, and secretion. Yes, ultrafiltration, selective reabsorption, osmoregulation, and secretion. So now under ultrafiltration, you'll be like, ultrafiltration is the filtration. Ultrafiltration is the filtration of small molecules such as water, mineral salts, glucose, and urea. Ultrafiltration is the filtration of small molecules such as water, mineral salts, glucose, and urea from the glomerulus into the Bowman's capsule. From the glomerulus into the Bowman's capsule of a nephron. This is the filtration of small molecules such as water, mineral salts, glucose, and urea from the glomerulus into the Bowman's capsule, to the Bowman's capsule of a nephron. It is caused by a buildup of pressure in the glomerulus. It is caused by a buildup of pressure in the glomerulus. And then you go to selective reabsorption. So under selective reabsorption, you'll be like, this is the reabsorption of useful substances from the glomerular filtrate. This is the reabsorption of useful substances. So let me just take you back. On ultrafiltration. So ultrafiltration takes place in the glomerulus of the Bowman's capsule. So here, small molecules, water, mineral salts, glucose, and urea, they are filtered. They are filtered into the Bowman's capsule. All right? So selective reabsorption, you say this is the reabsorption of useful substances from the glomerular filtrate in the renal tubule, all right, into the bloodstream. So during selective reabsorption, all right, your body makes sure that useful materials that would have been filtered out from the glomerulus are reabsorbed back into the blood because they are useful. Take for instance, glucose shouldn't be part of the urine formation. Glucose is not a waste product. So during selective reabsorption, glucose has to be reabsorbed back from the glomerular filtrate into the bloodstream. It has to leave excess salt, excess water, and urea. It has to leave them and go back into the blood. That's selective reabsorption. The third one is osmoregulation, which is the regulation of water levels in the body fluids. Yes, this is the regulation of water levels in the body fluids. Osmoregulation in the kidney takes place in the loop of Henle. Osmoregulation takes place where? In the loop of Henle. Yes. So if the body has little water in it, there is a hormone called antidiuretic hormone which is released. There is a hormone called antidiuretic hormone, and it is released from the pituitary gland. So this hormone doesn't come out except when the water levels are little in the body fluids. And the last process is secretion, which is the removal of urine from the kidney. This is the removal of urine from the kidney through the collecting duct. This is the removal of urine from the kidney through the collecting duct and ureter. Yes. Question 2b, they are saying, describe the role of the kidney in maintaining the balance of water and salt ions. Describe the role the functions of the kidney in maintaining the balance of water and salt ions in the blood. Okay, the role. So the role of the kidney, actually, the kidney does the following. It does osmoregulation, it does salt balance, it does blood pressure regulation. So I'll repeat, it does osmoregulation, it does salt balance, it does blood pressure regulation, and it does pH balance. It also does excretion of metabolic waste. It does hormone production. So to learn a lot of things or to learn more, come for my WhatsApp tuitions. Come for my WhatsApp tuitions. Yes.